Pakistan is neither a democratic country, nor a feudal country. Pakistan is often labeled a struggling democracy or a feudal society, but these descriptions fail to capture the complexity of its political reality. In truth, Pakistan does not fit neatly into either category. It operates as a hybrid system, neither a genuine democracy nor a classical feudal state, but shaped by both legacies in distorted forms. Not a true democracy. While Pakistan has the formal structures of democracy, elections, a constitution, and a parliamentary system, it has never fully functioned as a democratic state. Since independence in 1947, its democratic journey has been repeatedly interrupted. The country has endured 4 military coups, 1958, 1969, 1977, 1999, resulting in over 3 decades of direct military rule. Even during civilian governments, the military has remained a dominant force, influencing foreign policy, security, and domestic politics. Democratic institutions such as the judiciary, election commission, and media have frequently been compromised. Elections are held regularly, but they are often marred by pre-poll rigging, disqualification of key candidates, and suppression of dissenting voices. The space for opposition parties is routinely restricted, especially when they challenge the so-called establishment. Real power lies not with elected leaders but with unelected institutions, particularly the military and senior bureaucracy. Civilian supremacy, the cornerstone of democracy, remains unrealized. Despite rare milestones like the peaceful transfer of power in 2008 and 2013, these are exceptions in a broader pattern of political engineering and institutional overreach. Fundamental democratic principles, rule of law, accountability, transparency, and protection of civil liberties are weak. Enforced disappearances, curbs on free speech, and suppression of dissent are widespread. Provincial grievances, especially in Balochistan and Sindh, highlight the centralization of power, undermining the spirit of federalism. In essence, Pakistan has the facade of democracy but lacks its substance. It is more accurately described as an electoral autocracy or a military-influenced republic, a hybrid regime where democratic rituals exist, but power remains concentrated beyond the ballot box. Not classical feudalism, but feudal-like structures. Pakistan is not formally a feudal country, but large parts of its rural society, especially in Sindh, southern Punjab, and parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, operate on feudal principles. Powerful landowners, known as waidaras, dominate through hereditary privilege, economic control, and social patronage. These elites control vast agricultural lands worked by tenant farmers who remain economically and socially dependent. Beyond farming, waidaras act as local power brokers, settling disputes, controlling access to water and credit, and commanding loyalty through kinship and debt. Their influence translates directly into politics. Rural votes are often secured through coercion, obligation, or economic pressure, not policy or ideology. This system is self-perpetuating. Landlords resist land reforms, agricultural modernization, and rural education, all of which could empower the poor and weaken their grip. Their political participation is not about national development but about preserving privilege. They support candidates who protect the status quo, not those who advocate change. While urban centers like Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad are witnessing a rise in youth activism, digital awareness, and middle-class engagement, these changes barely penetrate the insulated world of the rural elite. Their worldview remains narrow, focused on harvests, inheritance, and the next election they can manipulate. Thus, while Pakistan is not feudal in the medieval European sense, it sustains a contemporary landed oligarchy, a system of hereditary power, exploitation, and resistance to progress. Elite capture, the real power structure. The deeper truth about Pakistan is elite capture, a system where a small, interconnected group monopolizes power across politics, the economy, and institutions. At the core are the agricultural elites, who, after independence, extended their influence into other elite classes. Bureaucracy, the civil service of Pakistan, CSP, was infiltrated by sons and allies of landlords. Key posts in revenue, administration, and policy were held by those loyal to landed interests, ensuring state resources served elites, not the public. Military. Many early military officers came from landed families in central Punjab. As the military gained power, it formed a symbiotic relationship with landowners, blocking land reforms in exchange for political support. Over time, the military built its own vast business empire, becoming an economic force in sectors from real estate to agriculture. Business class, industrialists emerged not through competition but through state patronage. Licenses, loans, and protection were granted selectively to those with political connections, creating a crony capitalist class dependent on the establishment. Together, these elites formed a closed network that resists reform. They oppose progressive taxation, land redistribution, quality public education, and independent media because all threaten their dominance. Development in Pakistan has thus been skewed. It enriches the few, not the many. A unique political ecosystem. Pakistan's governance is shaped by a complex interplay of military dominance, rural oligarchies, religious institutions, ethnic identities, and regional disparities. Western labels like democracy or feudalism are inadequate. Pakistan is a distinct political model born of colonial legacy, geopolitical pressures, and an ongoing struggle between tradition and modernity. Urbanization, digital media, youth activism, and civil society are challenging old hierarchies. But without structural reforms, land redistribution, education, institutional independence, and military accountability, these forces cannot tip the balance. So, Pakistan is neither a functioning democracy nor a formally feudal state. It is a hybrid regime where democratic forms mask authoritarian realities, and where feudal-like power structures stifle rural progress. The true obstacle to development is elite capture, a self-serving network that prioritizes privilege over public good. For Pakistan to evolve, it must confront this entrenched system. Genuine democracy, equitable development, and social justice require dismantling the old hierarchies, not just electing new leaders, but transforming the very structure of power. Until then, Pakistan will remain a state that serves the few, not the many.